Hey everyone, welcome back to Endless Money Pits. This is a 2007 Toyota Yaris, and today I'll show you how to replace the alternator. The alternator in this car made it almost 300,000 miles before it intermittently stopped working, but we've been getting by for the last few weeks by hitting it with a rubber mallet whenever the battery light comes on. The first alternator I tried was a rebuilt unit from O'Reilly's, but it didn't fit the car right, so I returned it and got a used alternator on eBay for less than half the price. Swapping the alternator on this car is actually pretty simple, so let's get to it. Here are the tools that I used for this job. Pry bar, socket wrench, 14mm socket, 12mm socket, 10mm socket, 10mm ratcheting wrench, a pair of pliers, and a digital micrometer. I'd like to add that this job inspired me to purchase a battery-powered socket wrench as soon as I could afford it, and I think you'll see why. For this job, I also needed a couple bungee cords, rubber gloves, a light, some hand cleaner for after I didn't use gloves installing the second alternator, and a replacement alternator. There are links in the description for everything I used. The alternator in this car is easily accessible from the top side of the engine, but first I'll disconnect the negative battery terminal. This alternator has 3 electrical connections to remove, but yours could be different. This one was pretty tight, so I used pliers to pull it off. The alternator is held in place with 2 bolts. Remove the upper bolt and push the alternator back to loosen the belt. Then slide the belt to the side. The second time around, I used another bungee cord to keep tension on the belt so it wouldn't come off the other pulleys down below. I couldn't remove the lower alternator bolt until I moved one of the brackets for the air conditioner line. My socket wrench didn't fit here, so once again, I was really happy to have a set of these ratcheting wrenches. Now the lower bolt can be extracted. There should be just enough room to pull the alternator out. The remanufactured alternator I tried wasn't fitting right, so I took it back to the bench and measured the gap on the lower mounting bracket with a digital micrometer. It's normal for this gap to be bigger on a new alternator because this piece should slide inward when tightening the lower bolt, creating a perfect fit, but it seemed to be seized in place on this alternator and just wouldn't tighten up. After a week or so, I received the used alternator from eBay, which definitely looked used, but it fit perfectly. If your belt slipped off the pulleys, here's a diagram that shows how it goes back on. If you need more help than that, check out my belt replacement video. When you're sure the belt is centered on all the pulleys, wedge your pry bar between the alternator body and the motor mount, then push the alternator forward until the belt has good tension, and tighten the upper bolt. I couldn't find a torque spec for these bolts, but they need to be tight. Make sure the belt is tight, then reinstall the electrical connections. I almost forgot to replace the AC bracket. Reconnect the battery, and start the engine to make sure the alternator doesn't fall off. I knew it wasn't going to fall off. The final step is to reset the clock on the dash. To do this, hold the left button until the minutes start flashing. Press or hold the button until the minutes are correct. Then wait a few seconds for the hour to start flashing. Press or hold the button until the hour is correct. Wait a few more seconds for the clock to stop flashing. And we're done. I've made a bunch of videos with this Yaris, so check those out before you go. If you liked this video, make sure to subscribe for more of the best DIY videos on the internet. And until next time, just keep throwing money at it.